Hey, hello. I think you were ready. Um, just, just let me check quickly. You're supposed to hear me. You're supposed to see me. But please give me some feedback on the comments. Can you hear me well? Can you see me well? Um, I see some hellos from you. From saying, "Yo, what's up?" Also from Kings. Hello. Mayak Dab. Hello, everyone. So I'm very glad to be here. Uh, so to answer your question, I'm doing very well. Everything is fine. Are you waiting for vacations on this weekend? I do. I actually in Mexico, we have this called like Holy Week, something like that. I don't know how to translate it. In a correct way, but it's supposed to be a religious event that thing like that, and I'm I'm not having work or school on Friday and Wednesday, and that's cool. But I'm having a global hack week session on Friday, so besides this, come join me on Friday to learn about the public APIs, but specifically from the browser. So that led us to the topic of this session, which are public APIs, the ones developed by the community and released so anyone can use them. Um, I want to be very clear in this. We are going to use public APIs that are free, but they are also public APIs that are not free or that requires you to make an account or yeah, create an account to use them so they can send you API key and API token, some things like that. Oh, I'm seeing in the comments that okay. I'm a little bit confused, but because I have some comments that can you can see me loud and clear, but some others that my video is stuck. Uh, yeah, your freeze, mine too. It's fine now. Okay, I think it's working now. Okay, okay. So very cool. Okay, it was stuck, but it is fine now. That's perfect. Thanks. So, in any point, my video gets stuck again, or anything on the transmissions goes not well, uh, please let me know in the comments so I can repeat that part of the stream or that part of the explanation. Okay, so I was talking about the topic of today's session, public APIs, but specifically the ones that I free completely to use and does not require any subscription, any API key, API token, or any account to use them, right? So I want to know how many of you already know what an API is. Um, okay, video stuck again. Uh, I'm sorry for that. I'm thinking my internet connection is not that well. Let me try to do something. I'm going to try to change my internet. No, I don't think that will work. Okay. Um, it's a shame about the video, but I see a comment here about the audio is clear. So um, I'm gonna take that. If anything, the audio is not clear, which is, I think, the most important thing. Please let me know, and I'm going to change my internet connection. But until that, let's continue. Right? Okay. APIs is how two programs talk to each other. Yeah, that's very accurate. Thanks for your response, Zane. So API is how we communicate between two pieces of software, right? You maybe have a program right in JavaScript and another right in, let's say, Rust, or I don't know, any other language you prefer, Python. So, how we communicate between these programs, how we can um, pass information between them. That's when the APIs came up, right? So you already know what an API is. I want to know how much experience you have using them. When you work, let's say, in a company that has a backend and a front end, very as a simple platform, right? So you have your web application and you need a backend to communicate information to that web application, right? To the front end. So that information need to be communicated between those applications through an API. So here, API is like connecting between connection between front end and backend. Yeah, am I right? Yeah, you're right. So, but that's not all. Also, you're even in the front end using APIs to communicate to the browser. A little spoiler, that's what we're going to learn in the Friday session. The browser's API, for example. But yeah, the API, it's not just that. It's not just how you communicate front end and back end. It's how you communicate all types of software. Remember, for example, the browser is a software, and you make your own front end, which is another software. So how do you communicate those two? An API. But in this session, we're going to leave it simple, just the communication of data, right? Uh, well, maybe not that simple, but let's say you need to have a data set, right? You need to find information about, let's say, the weather, right? How we can make an app to tell our users what the weather is. Well, we can start developing our own backend. We can start trying to do web scraping to, uh, I don't know, like to steal the information for a weather channel or a news web page, etc. But let me tell you a good news. If you, yeah, if you go to Google and just type weather API, you will find a lot of APIs that already tells you that information, and you just need to consume them, right? You just need to connect that APIs to your application to know the information about the weather, um, to today's weather, next morning weather, even previous ones, right? And same about anything you can imagine. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Just give me a second. Let me prepare this. Okay. Remember, if you have any question, you please feel free to post it on the comments so I can read it and I can answer all your questions. I really love when you post your questions because these sessions becomes more like Q&A sessions, um, and it's really great to be honest because you learn a lot, I learned a lot, and everybody. It's like a more dynamic session. So you need to see my screen now. If I go here and I go to Google, um, I can start weather API, right? So I see a lot of APIs I can use. Let's explore the first one. one call API, 3.0, pay as you call, etc. This, for example, is no API we're going to use for this session because, as you see, it's not completely free. But we can see what this API offers to us, right? An historic API for timestamp, statistical weather data. So it's interesting, but it's not what we want. Let's let's skip to another. Free weather API. Okay, maybe this is the one we're looking for. JSON and XML weather API and geolocation. Okay, geolocation API. They tell us about the technology, how this is built. We can upgrade anytime. Okay, and they sent us a bunch of information in this format. Let's talk about something before we move on, right? We mentioned that the API is how we connect two pieces of software, but let me just see the comments because we have a lull. I don't know. Just like Waiter takes orders for customers and API takes requests from software applications. Yeah, that's a good example. Actually, the way I learned this, it's an restaurant example. You can think it of the waiters exactly. Your application, it's like making the request, ordering, and the API goes to the kitchen and brings you what you asked for. Sometimes you will not be allowed to ask for that. Let's say not authorized. But sometimes you will ask for something that doesn't exist. Let's say you're in a pizza restaurant and you order for sushi. The waiter is going to go to the kitchen, say, "Hey, this person wants sushi." The chef is going to tell the waitress, tell them to we don't have sushi. So it's the very popular and very well known 404, right? But that's what I was going to say. It's not just only how we connect, it's the standard of how that it's working. Um, there are like these codes, the 404, for example, not existing, the 500 for the how it's called, error of the server. And there are a lot of more authorization codes, well, HTTP codes. Yeah, sushi 404 not found, exactly, because they don't have sushi in a pizza restaurant, right? Oh, for example, HarshDeep says, I made a dictionary app using API and used OpenAI API in previous hackathon. That's pretty cool. If you want to share it with us, please leave here in the comment a link to that post so we can all go, or even to your repo if you want to get some stars. Yeah, so we have the verbs, the codes in the request, and we have a lot more of protocols we need to follow. Right now, the most popular standard to use in APIs, it's called REST API. But there is another one, a newer, which is GraphQL. You may know about GraphQL. Before REST API, it was something called SOAP. And before that, I can remember if it was something. Yeah, no, I can remember. But REST comes to how it's called, substitute SOAP. And now GraphQL comes to substitute REST. But it's not as easy as it sounds. It needs to be a lot of process of how REST it's going to be substituted by GraphQL, because let's be honest, GraphQL obviously it's better than REST because it's newer, and it has the advantage that the people who created GraphQL have some problems with REST, and they know like, hey, I think we are doing wrong these scenarios. I think we are doing wrong these specific things. Why don't we make something better? And they created GraphQL, right? So it's not that REST it's going to be dead in some years. GraphQL already have some years existing, and they don't even are as much popular as I wanted to believe. But at some point, it's going to happen. So start learning GraphQL. Um, by, by far, in this technical workshop, we are going to use REST because it's still the standard. And how we do these REST petitions to the API using JavaScript, and how to consume and how to explore public API. Again, it's the main topic of this section. So again, let me read some comments. So we made that chatbot for a project using. Okay, this is the link, so you can go there and check out that project. It might be cool. I used Go REST API and built a Wikipedia clone. That's amazing. So again, let me share again my screen. REST gives us a JSON response. So in this JSON, remember JavaScript object notation, it's the meaning of JSON. Uh, we see they give us the location, the name of the location, the region, the country, latitude, longitude, local time zone, etc. The current location, I'm thinking, the wind, millihours per hour, the wind, kilometers per hour, air quality, a lot of information. This may be cool, right? But I don't know if that's what we're looking for. Let's try another one. Open Meteor. Free weather API, 7 hourly day forecast worldwide. Again, see how the response is in a JSON. We can see historical data. We can see the last 10 days. They have a lot of features. They even are open source. It's a free API. That's very cool. But again, there's a lot of information, and I don't know which API to use. Okay, the quickly and very great, or I don't know if it's because of my previous searches, but I found the key to our answer. I wanted to show you this page, which is called Rapid API. It's a very cool page. Let's just forget about the weather for a while. This page, Rapid API. Let's go to the main page, not the blog. This is a page I use a lot, and a lot of developers use a lot to find the APIs to use in our next project. They have a lot of APIs, a list of APIs. We can go and try. Some of them are completely free. Some of them requires an API key. Some of them requires a subscription. But it's a very cool place to find a lot of useful APIs. So we don't need to go to Google and tag weather API, or let's say cartoon API, or etc. We can just simply Google Rapid API. We can even have it on our browser like a tab. So we can go. Again, it's the world largest API hub. Um, and try, for example, we can search resources, company, contact. No, let me see. Uh, let's look for free APIs. They even have a section for COVID-19 APIs. That's really cool. A lot of information here. Flag data APIs, top best, top Google Translate alternatives, free SM. What's okay? Let's try the trending ones. Which are the trending ones? The Binance API. If you crypto fans, you can use the Binance API. That will be cool. Even Notion have an API. If you didn't know that, uh, Coinbase, Discord, Airbnb APIs, best text to speech APIs. It's really cool, right? So let me quickly return to the transmission. Uh, I'm going to read some comments before we move on. Hey, attending late for the first time. Hey, so hello. You're right now in a global hack week transmission. We prepare some content. So, and this is a technical session. For example, tomorrow I'm running a mini game called Bob Ross, so you can chill and hang out with other hackers. If you want to be in hackathon, we are hosting hackathons every single weekend of the entire year. So go to the Discord mlh.io and find the Discord link so you can join and register for our next hackathon. What's the difference between REST and SOAP API? Again, the specific difference I don't know well. We can Google for that, but it's difference about protocol, how they manage the request, how they send data, and how they receive data. So that there's a difference. I don't know the specifics, the technical aspects of that, but there are two different protocols of how the information is managed. REST it's right now the most used, common, and popular one. SOAP used to be that, and in the future it's going to be GraphQL. Um, yeah, that's the thing. So the GitHub repo. We have a great comment here. The GitHub repo public APIs. It's a great list as well. Thanks for that. In a moment, I'm going to check that. That will be cool. What else we have? It is easy to parse a JSON in Python. Um, I will say yes. It depends on how easy you mean. Like it is easier than in JavaScript. I don't think so, but it is easier than in C. Yeah. Uh, I'm new to JSON data. JSON data, it's a really great standard. And I'm just not saying that because I'm a JavaScript developer, but I've seen JSON standard in a lot of languages, for example, Python, um, being used. And you don't even have to know JavaScript to use JSON. I think it's a great way to process data, to be honest. Bring out the goose. Alberto, please share the link. Yeah, I'm going to share the link in some minutes. Just give me a second. And also, Harshdeep, thanks a lot. He with me. So here's the link. This is the link for the wiki. Okay, the wiki we were talking about before. It's here. Go, give it a try, and rate the project. Give it a star on GitHub. Pretty cool. Sometimes the competition seems overwhelming. How do you handle that? Yeah, that's a great thing. Let's go and explore a real API, right? Um, you already do me the favor to share of Rapid API Hub. In Rapid API Hub, you can find a lot of APIs for your next project. You can search about cartoons, you can search about weather, you can search about sports, you can search about even the ones that are trending topic right now, which are the artificial intelligence APIs. Again, OpenAI, it's a great example, but OpenAI requires you to have an account, and they give you a token to use the API. So right now we're not using that, but there are also a lot of other free API tools, free machine learning or artificial intelligence based API tools you can use. uh, each browser you're using, Alberto. I'm using Firefox because I think it's the best one, to be honest. I try with Brave and which other one? Opera, but I don't know. I really think Firefox it's my jam. Uh, Chrome I used for the work because you have to. I work as a front-end developer, and you need to test everything on Chrome because everybody is using Chrome, I guess. uh, you as a developer which works on web tends to have a lot of browsers installed in your computer, but yeah, I use Chrome to test and Firefox for pleasure. So was only XML, I believe, whether REST conversion it's for XML, JSON, HTML, and plain text. So very versatile. Okay, thanks. It's a great comment right here. SOAP was a standard for only XML, while REST has support from a lot of other data parse processing. So even plain text. That's a great comment. Thank you, B1D300. Uh, Firefox for the win. Yeah. So about the documentation and how to handle that. I don't know if you have any project in particular that you said like, okay, this is enough. I cannot read this, but let me show you a great project that I already used to test. I think you may like this because it's a great API from a great series. It's called Rick and Morty API. The Rick and Morty API gives us a great example of how to introduce ourselves in the world um, of the APIs. But to be honest, they have this document section right here. So they even have support for GraphQL, which is amazing. If you again want to start learning about GraphQL and how this is going to substitute REST, go here. Even they have the documentation for GraphQL. This GraphQL page show you how to um, do your first hello world in GraphQL, how GraphQL words about the queries, mutations, the arguments, etc., etc. Um, but if not, in our case, we are going to use the REST API here. You need to the base URL, and you need the This show you how this schema works, so you can get information about the characters, the allocations, and the episodes. So let's try to find and instruct how we can read this documentation, right? Uh, at the beginning, we may see a lot of information, and we can try and we can say like, okay, again, this is much, but I don't think this is a great example for that, because to be honest, the Rick and Morty documentation, it's very well explained, it's very cool, and it's very simple. So again, that's why I was asking if you have in mind any API that make you think that way, like this is a lot, I cannot handle this. Maybe I can try go here to a random API and try to explore it. But first, again, uh, you need to see an example of how it is supposed to be, and how a good API documentation is, right? So in the Rick and Morty API, we can see, for example, they explain us about the three things we can get from this API, which are the characters, the locations, and the episodes. So first we go to the character section, and they tell us like there are 826 characters sorted by their ID. They explain us the schema. For example, they have the key and the type and the description. The key ID, it's an integer and it's the ID of the character. The name, it's a string and it's the name of the character. The status, it's also a string, and it explains that if the if there are only three possible values for this: alive, dead, or unknown. The species, if you see the series, you can tell that there are not only humans, there are a lot of species in this cartoon. So we can see that type, it's a string and it's the subspecies of the character. They even have gender, female, male, genderless, or unknown, origin, location, an image, an episode, URL, creator. So, for example, here we can see an example of this. If we go and make a get petition to this API according to the character in the page 19, we are going to find that they return us an array of characters. And they are not putting the complete array, but this first object in the array, it's a character named Toxic Rick. His status is dead. It's a humanoid. Type Rick's toxic side. The gender is male. They give us an origin, which is the location, the name of the location. Uh, I think, for example, here they are correlating these objects. The locations give us a URL to the location where this character is from, and even an episode where this character is from. For example, here this character only appears in one episode, so that's why the array is just a length of one. But let's say this character appear in more locations, it means more episodes. We will have more elements in this array, right? So again, this is a very, very, very good example of how API, it's well documented, it's easy to understand, and they even give you like examples of how you can make requests to this. Let me check if you have any comments to this point. Hmm. Okay, okay. I think you need to work more. Uh, uh, thank you. I need to work more. Okay. Thank you. I need to work more. I will start learning React JS in a few days. Yeah, that's really cool. Um what are my suggestions for that? Try not to learn or try not to focus on the library, which is React. Uh, try to focus more on vanilla JavaScript. How does JavaScript really works? What are the types? What are the primitive values? How does the JavaScript compiler or yeah, in real-time compiler works? Try to understand the event loop. Try to understand the specifics of the language, and that will make you a better developer. Well, that's my suggestion. But don't take it too seriously about do not learn React at all. No, I don't mean that because learning React will help you to develop faster, but don't forget to learn the fundamentals. So that's the thing. You have to need to understand the fundamentals, but also learn how learn the libraries, the frameworks that will help you develop faster. So that's the path. There's a sweet spot between those two, and you need to follow that sweet spot. I was looking at the Pocketx API, new GraphQL endpoint. It's very fast and very overwhelming. Can you look it and help how one can find queries they will need to fetch? Yeah, I can look it. Someone to please drop the link. I'm going to post it again. You mean the link to the Rick and Morty API or the Rapid Hook API? I'm thinking you mean the Rapid Hook, but just give me a second. It was over here. This is the link for the hub in where we can find a lot of APIs. I don't know if that's the link you refer. Uh, Okay. If not, this is the link to the Rick and Morty's API documentation. Thanks a lot, guys. Uh, I see another big comment here. I know how to make a normal crude API using Express.js, but let's say if I want to make an API for public use, how can I make it public? And how can I add filtration like weather API and mean they allow? Okay, so the thing to open the server, right? For example, when you public your API, I'm going to hide the comment because it's very big. Uh, yeah, when you public your API, let's say you're only working for yourself and it's a project you just need to use, you usually have these called the whitelist. So the whitelist are the IPs allowed to make requests to that API, right? Uh, the good practice is just to allow your IP. So you are protected from others to make requests to your API and extract your information because that information may be, uh, let's say, private or sensitive, right? Uh, some people don't do this. Some people just put the commode in and allows anyone to access the API. And if that's what you want, it's cool because that's how you make up API public. But if it's not, you're under the danger of being extracted of your information, and that's a thing, right? Uh, so, how you can make it public? Well, allow anyone to access it, and how you can add filtration. Uh, that's a thing of how you configure the server, because you can have the information of which IPs are making how many requests, right? So let's say my IP has already made 999 requests, and you only allowed me to make 1,000, right? So the next time I make a request, you can flag my IP to say like, okay, you run out your request for this API. You can now purchase more and handle the transaction about that, add like add a system of payments, or say like, I'm not going to allow you to make more requests until I don't know, let's say a period of time, uh, until 24 hours has passed this point, and you just make the logic for that. So it sounds simple because it is simple to explain, but how to do it in code, write the technical code for that, it's really complicated. So you can also go to the ones who already exist. For example, remember we saw a weather API who who was open source. You can go to that open source code and see how they are doing it, and just, let's say, copy that. The open source way to do that, it's fork the project. um, so you can read the, the, the code, and yeah, and learn how they are doing it and apply it to your own project. So that's my advice if you want to do a public API. My next advice is you need to have information that the users want. For example, the weather API has the weather information. The Rick and Morty API has the Rick and Morty information. But if you are planning to do a public API, you need to find value information that a lot of people want, and also that you're owner of that information. That's tricky, right? Because who owns the information of the weather? I'm thinking Warner. Yeah, Warner Brothers owns the information of Rick and Morty. But for example, if I remember well, we were talking about the Pokemon. Yeah, the Pokemon API. I think those persons at the beginning have problem with the Pokemon owners because of the, yeah, like, who are you paying this information for? So be aware of that. Yeah, be aware of that. That's my biggest advice. I have learned JS and JS Essentials. Thank you, Alberto. Yeah, okay, that's cool. Um, so we also have cool. You're good to get started with React. Like, exactly. Perfect. So about the Pocketx APIs documentation. Let's jump to that. So let's go here and Google for Pocketx API. Is this the one you mean? I don't know. If it is, don't say nothing. If it is not, please post a comment here, like, "Hey, it is not," and please drop the link. Uh, but I'm guessing it is. Try it now. For example, it's the same, almost the same as the Rick and Morty one. All APIs has a base URL, and then the parameters you need to change in order to get the exact request you're looking for, right? Um, for example, here I'm guessing we're looking for Pokemons, and the Pokemon we're looking for it's Ditto. Uh, I don't know how to write another Pokemon name, so I'm going to use this. um, we have a lot of information, JSON format, starting with their abilities. Uh, okay. I now get you what you were meaning with the uh, overwhelming. Okay, let's collapse all these, and start. Okay, first level. Remember, well, I do this to understand the JSONs in a better way. Let's start with the base tree. Remember, we can go in depth from the trees from here. So the base tree is abilities, base experience, forms, game indices, the height, the items, the ID, the if it is default, location and area, the moves, the name, the order, past types, species, sprites, stats, types, and weight. Okay, what we are interested in knowing from it. Let's see if the abilities is something we are interested in. The abilities it's an array from two items. The first item has the ability, and if it is hidden, the slot, and that's all. The ability has a name and a URL. So I'm guessing we can search not just for Pokemons, but from abilities. And these specific abilities, it's called Limber. If we want to go here and change the search from Pokemon Ditto to Ability 7, we can see uh, that in effect the name is Limber. But let's see, yeah, it gives us an array of all the Pokemons that has these abilities. So let's open this. Yeah, let's open this. And the first Pokemon is Persian, also Hitmonlee, and Ditto. In effect, we find Ditto here in these leads. Bonnery, Lopunny, Glamio, a lot of Pokemons, right? All these 14 Pokemons has this ability. We can see here that also it's a second uh, generation I. No, it's a third generation ability. That's cool. But let's see more about the GraphQL question, right? Let me see. Yes. Yeah, but the GraphQL endpoint. Yeah, I'm going to hope that the RESTful API is nice. Yeah, this happened a lot because remember, GraphQL it's starting. So a lot of good APIs like the Rick and Morty one and the Pokemon API and I don't know what are it's very popular. The Star Wars API are slowly moving to the GraphQL one. So, uh, so yeah, remember GraphQL it's starting, so you probably won't find a very well documentation for that. But let's see if we can handle that. Information again. For example, they mentioned the beta support for GraphQL. Uh, okay, but this is 2021. A free rate limit endpoint available. Okay, they don't. Okay, Mm, that's all from the GraphQL. Probably runs better access free console. And okay, I'm thinking this is the documentation. No, GraphQL console. Hmm. Okay, but I see they have a GraphQL console. And they may don't have a good documentation because this is all the information they gave us, but they have a console, which I think it's really cool because here you can find in all these Explorer the things you may be looking for, and here translated in a GraphQL sentence of how to get them. So let me see if you put in your question what you wanted to get. I was looking at Pokemon APIs, new GraphQL endpoint, and it's very vast and overwhelming. Uh, can you find queries you need to fetch? Okay, I don't think you have something in mind yet, or at least you didn't put it, but let's see. Uh, let's say I want to find the ability. Yeah. So the ability we were talking about were the name. So we can go here. And the one we look here was limber or something like that. Let me see. Go back, go back, go back. The ability limber. Yeah. So, for example, here we can search for limber, linon. Oh, there are a lot. Ability names. We want to search for name just. Okay. Yeah, I get you. Like it is really overwhelming, and it's not well explained at all. The documentation here it's not that good. To be honest, it's not even a documentation. But I'm guessing they are thinking in a Linux way. Let me explain that. If you're a Linux user, if you try to find documentation for anything, you may find something like, okay, this is the one for Windows, this is the one for Mac, and if you're using Linux, you probably know more than me. So good, uh, like good luck with that. And same with GraphQL, they give you the documentation for the rest. And if you and we are supporting in beta GraphQL. But if you're using GraphQL, you probably know more than me, and so use it like if you are a GraphQL expert. I get it's frustrating, but take it as an opportunity to contribute to this project. So if you are Pokemon API user and you're learning GraphQL and you're thinking like, okay, this is a problem. I need to fix that. I need to make a documentation on how to make queries in GraphQL for this API. I can fork the project and yeah, make your pull request. That would be very cool. I I enhance you to do that. Um, so yeah, the RESTful API is very documented. Yes, you can watch this later. Thank you guys. Those solving challenges unlock additional swag. Any project idea to implement on these APIs? That's a good thing. Let me go to the Rapid Hub page, and we can try to do that right now, right? Let's all choose one API and try to implement a project on that. Uh, and uh, we are not going to take more than 30 minutes on that. Okay, you wanted to see. Okay, I can do this. But first, let's look for Charmander because let's see. And a cool thing here is they give us a sprite, which is a series of uh, images. So, for example, if we go here and copy this URL and paste it here and look it for it, we will see this sprite for Charmander, right? If we want to see the image, the front image from default sprite, let's change it. This is the front sprite from Charmander. Okay. Uh, what was oh, oh yeah, about building a project. Sorry, I got distracted. So we already see this API hub. Again, for those one who are entering to the transmission, here is the link. Rapid API hub. We need to find an API for our quick project. I'm going to scroll down, take a look to all the APIs, to the free ones, and then you can post here on the comments which API do you want to build a project right now, and then we can start building it, right? Remember, the API who gets more comments is the one I'm going to develop on that. Um, Again, I put the link, so if you want, you can go there. And if you don't see me scrolling on an API you want, you can also post it here, and I will look for it. Yes, I agree. I was thinking the same. I haven't used GraphQL much, so I wanted to try it as I can use on the book. Yeah, I know it's a tough challenge. um, I, for myself, I find it tough because I wanted to learn again GraphQL by my own, but for example, at work, I need to use REST, and with any other things, I need to use REST. So that's the thing. I probably need to convince the people at my work that we need to move to GraphQL, so I can become a better developer on that. It's a good advice. We can look for a food API. We also can use the memory generator API. That's cool. What else? What else? We have two options here. Let's scroll to see more. For example, we have the Top Jokes API, that Joe's API, Chuck Norris API, Memo Generator. This is the one we were talking about, right? Memo Generator, a simple memory generator that generates memes by choosing upload image and short top text sentence. Memes are served in JPEG image file format. Uh, this is the page of the no. Let me see if I can find the page about the Paradox website. Yeah, so this is the list of all memes we can create. The top text and the bottom text. Yeah, we could use this. But let's see. Let's try to find more. Top movies, top weather, recommended APIs, popular APIs, free public APIs. For example, here we have the Google Translate API. They even have a blog in which they post the top 50 most popular APIs used in the 2022 year, which was the first one. The first one was Talk API. Mm, okay, Google Search API, Call API. I'm thinking because we were on the World Soccer tournament, TikTok API, Rapid Translate, YouTube API, Open API, TikTok only one API, Bets, Bets API. A lot of TikTok APIs in YouTube search, Pinnacle, Instagram API, wow, Twitter API, COVID-19 API. What's this? Akka. I don't know what is. Also know us. I don't know. Another Instagram API. The Brave New Coin. SendGrid. IP geolocation API. Oh, I use this at work. Mm, Translo. Let's see what else. Oh, movie database alternative API. Let's see. Mm, Categories. Best stock and market. Flights. Free SMs. Cities. Hotels. A lot of APIs, as you can see. Let's see if you already agree on the comments. We also have a suggestion for health or the weather. Let's go with the jokes, APIs, jokes, that jokes. If you want to track some pick an NFT, yeah, some Web3 APIs, movie, or Rapid API. There is also Netflix API available. Okay, Doge. I think more people like it, the jokes, but I don't want this to get controversial. So let's just not go to the jokes. Remember, we all not share the same sense of humor. Uh, so this live stream and then comment, oh, that would be cool. I don't know if that's public. Okay, okay, let's go to the memes. Top mem API, it's the mem generator, right? Uh, we have it here. Yeah, okay, why not? Mem generator. Let's let's explore this API first, and let's then use it. About generation meme images through a bold build unique framework, a simple meme generator that generates memes by choosing a preloaded image and short top and bottom text sentence. Memes are okay. Let's see the pricing. Okay, I don't know if This needs a subscription. Discuss. Chinese. Okay. Tutorial. Let's explore. Oh, it has no tutorial. Documentation. Images. Get images. Ooh, yeah, we need the API key for this, so we are not using this. What else? What other suggestion we have? Um, the dot jokes API. Let's see. Hopefully, this does not require a subscription. No, it does. So again, no. Uh, this requires a subscription. Let's look for something free. Hmm. This says this is free. The movies, why not? Or a default in the football API. So let's see pricing. I think this is not pricing for the API. Indeed, it is for repeat API. But let's look for the endpoint. Come on, come on, come on. Hmm. Maybe if I go to the page tutorial discussion, pricing, and points. I think I just need to create an account here. Just let me hide my screen for a second and I will create an account and I'll be back in a second. You want some music while I create this account? Uh, well, if I create an account and we need to do this project, which API again would you like to use? Okay, I have an account now. Uh, for example, here, doesn't that mean we have to create an account too? Well, again, it's really up to you if you want to create an account here or you want to search for existing APIs who do not require the account. Uh, okay, yep. So, again, tell me when you see my screen. Oh, no, my computer was dying. Sorry. Uh, okay, you can see it, I think. Okay, we're now. Let's move to the mem generator because I know you wanted that, and first I thought we weren't able to do it, but now we sure do. Okay, let's change this to hello world mem generator API. And mm, okay, no. No, I think they want to charge us for using this. But okay, let's copy this code and try to run it uh, in our own document. So let me remove this screen and share the one. Okay, give me a second. Yeah, here it is. So let's create a global hack week API. And now just need to create a index.js. And put the code here. Oh, for example, here you see that we are using Axios. Axios is a package for making easy to make these connections using REST. We also can use Fetch. Fetch is a way we can communicate using the native API from the browser. It's kind of tricky, right? Because Axios and Fetch are indeed APIs we use to create or to communicate, sorry, with another APIs. The vanilla way we can do this, it's to create petition called XML request, but that it's only working on the browser. So yeah, so if we want to do it all in a node server, we need to use another things, and yeah, it gets complicated, but that's just a technical understanding of what we are doing. uh, if you want to learn more of that, again, investigate more about SOAP, about more REST, about GraphQL, how they manage these transactions, let's say, and etc. Uh, right now, just let's not just focus on that. You can use Fetch, you can use Axios. That's the two I recommend because they are the more simpler way. Fetch it's great this way, but we are now need to install npm install Axios. It's a package, as I was saying. We have now Axios installed, so we can run. So before that, let's change the hello world meme generator API, and let's run this. Let's see what the output is. Okay, big output, right? I'm going to open this Axios error request file with status code 403. Why is that? But request with the get method. Okay, this might be a problem using Axios. Again, we can change this here uh, with fetch. So let me change all of this from Axios to fetch. As you see, it's a simpler way. Just need to change the text to hello world, and instead of this, no, what I'm doing. Uh, okay, I got it now. I can change all of this. Yeah, the bottom it's hello world, and the top it's meme generator API. Awesome. Let's see what this throws. You're not subscribed to this API. Yeah, this API does need subscription. So no, we are not using this. It's a shame. Um, Visible now? Yeah, it's visible. To test it online, does it mean that we can use all our APIs locally without credit card? No, it depends on the API entirely. As you see right now, for this meme generator API, I do need to have an account. I don't know if they are going to charge me at some point if I create an account, so I won't. Uh, Instead of that, I am going to search for an API that allows me to do this without having an account, without um, requiring an API key. As you saw, that's possible. I show you two, the Rick and Morty API and the Pokemon API. I know there are more, for example, the Star Wars API. Let's find the that weather API. They say that was free, right? Um, I'm looking to it. If anyone has the link or find an API that allows me to make requests, just post it on the comments here, and then I can use it. I think it's what's Medium. Yeah, but this requires me to make an account, so I won't. A lot of it needs an API key, and I don't want it. Um, do you know anyone who does need a key? Okay, I think I found one. So let me show you my screen. This one is called Open Medium. It's supposed to be an open source weather API access with no key required. Okay. Uh, so they have these features on commercial use. It can be used, la la la, stay up to date. Okay, let's focus on the documentation here. Select your coordinates or city. Uh, I'm in Mexico City. Let's see. Oh, they even detect my geo position here. That's cool. I want to have my temperature if it's going to rain. I don't want to have additional variables. No, no. Yeah, I want it in Celsius. I think it's cool. And this is the URL, right? So if I go here, let's see. I don't need headers. I don't need options at all. Let's change this to this, and let's see what this throws us. Amazing. So here we make our request we fetch to api.openmeteo. We look for the forecast at this latitude and longitude, and we ask for these variables, right? The time zone we get the the hourly information, and the temperature for those hours. 27.4 Celsius and 68 more items. So this is what we wanted. And to be honest, it was kind of hard of what I expected, but not hard to use it. I mean, hard to find it, right? Uh, it's hard to find a good API that allows you to make requests without having a key. The reason I'm thinking it's because, to be honest, it's expensive to host an API and to have all that data and to have all that great information access being access to your hands all the time. So if you do like an API and you like a project, you make something big about it and start earning money for that, think of supporting your APIs. Um, so yeah, that was all I wanted to do with you. We go through the process of understanding what an API is, how does API works, um, how we can find amazing APIs, and how we can apply them and get information like the weather, like the characters from cool TV series, like Rick and Morty, like Pokemon, like I'm pretty sure there are a lot of APIs focused on whatever movie or TV you want. Um, I need a recap for what is working. Okay, I can do it. Okay, remember, API means application public interface, and it is how we connect two pieces of software. API API needs a protocol to work. The previous one was SOAP. This one is REST, and the future one will be GraphQL. What are the difference? You can go in depth in that team on a more specific, let's say, another workshop, because that's a lot of information. But let's just say the capabilities they have. We have a good contribution here. Someone tell us that, for example, SOAP just allows used to allow XML type of format. Now this REST allows more types of format: XML, JSON, raw data, even HTML. Plain text, etc. And the advantage GraphQL has, that it's that, as my point of view, for now you make an endpoint, which is the URL you connect to extract information, and you need to make the endpoint to, for example, if you pass it as a get, you cannot change a lot of parameters unless you say it in the URL. Uh, but the endpoint needs to be prepared for that. And there are like these boundaries in which the APIs or the endpoint, sorry, yeah, the endpoints works and don't works, and they need changes from front end and from back end. And the great advantage of GraphQL is that it's only a language, it's a query language. Uh, so both front end and back end needs to know that. And if you need some specific information, you can access that without having to access to all the information available. You can use things called mutations and etc. But this is not a GraphQL workshop, right? So returning to the APIs, uh, We have the protocols, we have how they work, what we need to make that request, and how to make that request. It's something we saw at the very end of this workshop. That is, we can use vanilla. We can go and make XML HTTP requests, but we can also use some tools that help us do it quicker. For example, Axios and Fetch. Both are great tools. To be honest, I don't have preference between one and another. Actually, they are a lot of more options. I think the more popular ones are those two, but feel free to explore more. What I like from Fetch is that you don't need to install any library or whatever to use it. For example, in Nexus, you have to install that package with npm. Um, Fetch, it's available in all browsers you can imagine. Yeah, it's supported in modern browsers, and in the latest versions you won't have problem using Fetch. And as you saw, there's only 3 lines of code and you can get a lot of information from the URLs. um, so yeah, we have that great recap. We find, and also we saw how we can not only find but understand how to use an API that we like. For example, we were talking about the Pokemon API. I haven't used it before, but it's as simple as just exploring and changing some parameters in their webs, or even if they don't have that option, you can start reading their documentation. And some documentations might be overwhelming, some might be very good, some might be a little poor in the information they give you. But exploring and giving a hands on that will make you uh, more fluent in the next time you need to use an API. It doesn't matter if it's the same or if it is another one. It was a pleasure, guys. I don't know if you have any other question left, so post it here in the comments before we wrap up this session. Um, so I think that's it. I'll be here some more minutes. If you are good to go if you don't have no more questions, and I hope you really like it. Remember, I'm going to have a API focus on the web browser session on Friday, same hour. So come and join me to explore all the capabilities your browser have. Yeah, you are going to be impacted, to be honest, because some of them we don't really know about, and we probably want to use another ones. But your browser, just the browser, it's a really great tool, and knowing these APIs will help you in your next project if you want to use, for example, hardware, or yeah, do like low level things like drawing on canvases, etc. I hope you had a great time. I see some of you do have, and that's all. Thanks. See you.